believe that we are way overdue a catch-up. So thank you to everybody that sent in your questions either over on Instagram or on the poll on my community section. There were quite a few. I am going to try and get through as many as I can, but it might be we just do another one of these maybe in a couple of months on like a cozy festive evening. That could be nice. But let's dive straight into them. I often love watching people's Q&As, either almost like a podcast, so like pop your headphones in, do bits around the house while you listen, or I like to really sink into it, get myself a proper drink, snacks, super cozy on the sofa. So choose your vibe. Okay, so I've done my best to organize these into groups and categories, and I'll timestamp this video. So if you want to jump to particular segments because you're more interested in some than others, then you can do that. Let's start with the most popular kind of topic, I suppose, which is relationship stuff and wedding stuff. I'm just going to pick some of these at random. Lots just about wedding updates in general. It is early-ish next year. It's kind of springtime next year. I feel like we've got most stuff sorted now. Like I've got my dress sorted. I'm actually going to buy my legal ceremony outfit tomorrow, which I'm really excited to do. Still don't have bridesmaids dresses, finding that really hard. Still haven't done some of the really tricky stuff like table plans. I think organizing where everyone's going to sit, I can imagine like being one of the hardest jobs. Cameron and I the other night drank too much wine and decided to try and like practice what a first dance would look like for us. That's interesting. That's going to be very interesting. Because like we don't want like a whole choreographed thing massively, but you also don't just want to like stand there and just sway for 3 minutes or whatever. We've got our song picked, which we both love, but yeah. Question for the masses. Did anybody have a lesson? Did anybody do one? We think it could be really funny to just like do one lesson and just neither of us are really dancers. So we've had one go at practicing our first dance and honestly it was just funny. And in general, we're just loving the whole wedding planning process because so far for us anyway, I think people experience wedding planning differently. And like, I know some people find it super stressful. I know some people just find like weddings in general super stressful. We're kind of just vibing with it, to be honest, and really enjoying the whole thing. We definitely can't dance though, so TBC on the first dance. This is not really a wedding update from me, but more of a question to all of you. One thing that I think I probably am thinking about it from like a wedding planning perspective. I wanted to ask your advice on, we've obviously got a few people that we've lost that we want to make sure that we kind of honor and recognize, but like the most significant person really is Cameron's mum. And I can't think of a way. I know you can do the whole chair thing. That's like I've saved a seat for you, but I don't know whether that's like too glaring of a thing. And does that make it, I don't want Cameron to be like looking out at the ceremony and then there'd be like in the front row, like, oh, my mum's seat is like obviously empty. Is that then like too sad on what should be a really happy day? He doesn't really know how he feels about it. He like hasn't really necessarily, I don't know. I feel like it's one of those things that I kind of want to think about it and come up with a solution for him, or at least come up with suggestions for him, and then he'll just choose. So anyway, if anyone's got any good ideas for how to include or honor people that are no longer with us but are really important to your day, then please let me know. That is like probably the biggest thing that is keeping me up at night, just not knowing how best to do that. But otherwise, like with wedding updates, honestly, it's all just going really well. We're just chilling. It's really fun. I mean, the main stress that I have is just like wanting to make sure that all of our guests have a really good time, and like what extra things can we do to make sure they enjoy it. And it's a destination wedding, so just like wanting their whole trip to go really smoothly. But the wedding is a total vibe, so I don't have anything. If anyone's got any more like specific questions that they want to ask me on the wedding, then let me know. But just generally with wedding updates, all going swimmingly. And if you've got any tips, that would be wonderful. Okay, more relationshipy questions. What does the financial side of your relationship look like? Us, I will say that we're really lucky that Cameron does love managing money, and he has created a very simple, very streamlined process for us that he takes full credit for setting up. But basically all of our money is split. We bought this house together. We own it 50-50. So we pay the mortgage 50-50, we pay bills 50-50, and basically we each pay into a joint bank account the same amount every month, and then all of our bills get paid out of that bank account to all the respective places. So that's like literally everything. We each do 50-50, so that's like Netflix, water, gas, electricity, internet, like weekly food shop. Obviously the weekly food shop does vary each week, but we transfer the same amount that's like slightly too much into that joint account. And then obviously all the bills get paid out. And then if there's any money left at the end of the month in that bank account, then we'll use it to like go for a date night, or if there's anything in particular we want to buy for the house. If we're like, oh, let's buy a new lamp, we can check that account and see if there's any like funds left over, and then we'll use that money. For now, we've said we're just going to continue that way into marriage where we've each got our own bank accounts, we each manage our own money, but we transfer into a joint pot. We said that like maybe when we have children in the future, we might flip it around. So all of our salaries go into one big pot and then we each pay ourselves separately. But I think we'll always have our own individual bank accounts. Definitely for me, just like as a woman, just one of my principles in life that I always want to make sure that I have my own money that I manage and my own income that I make. And I am financially independent outside of Cameron, even though like we love each other so much and I'm sure nothing will ever go wrong. But I just want to make sure that I am financially independent. So that's how we manage our money. Not a question, but I just wanted to say that my hubby is South African and they make the best husbands. I can see that. I can see that. Honestly, all the South African men I know are just wonderful. So lucky you. What do you do to keep yourself occupied / not feel lonely when Cameron is away? I have to say he's not really away as much as he used to be. So he used to have a job that was based in Manchester. And so there got to a point where he was actually having to go to Manchester like basically every week. And he was pretty much working from there during the week and then like coming home on the weekends. And I was fine with it. I ran out of patience towards the end. And then patience makes me sound like snippier. I got more lonely and I got more like sad about it towards the end just because I missed him. But I lived on my own for 18 months to 2 years after my previous relationship ended before Cameron and I moved in together. I loved living on my own. I think learning to love your own company is like one of the most valuable things that you can ever learn to do. If you're somebody that doesn't like spending a lot of time alone, it's something that's worth like practicing flexing that muscle. I don't even really think about what I do to keep myself occupied. I mean, obviously I love reading my books. I get completely lost in a world of books, see friends. Honestly, this job makes me like not lonely in any capacity because I feel like I just always have you guys to talk to. But honestly, he's around all the time now. I don't know if I said, but he's got a new job now and his new job's based in London. So we'll go into the office and come home just like a normal 9 to 5 commute kind of a thing. Lots of questions related to children, like how many children do we want? Honestly, Cameron and I hope that children, they will be in our future in some capacity. We will make it happen through alternative means if we aren't able to like conceive naturally. But yeah, we both really want children and we want as many as, you know, we're able to have. We'll see as we go. I mean, if everything like works amazing and is completely easy and we have no issues, then 3. Like I'm one of 3, Cameron's one of 3. I think we're both just used to being one of 3. So we've always kind of imagined we'd just keep going with the 3 thing. But I think motherhood and parenthood is such a life-altering, huge thing that I would love to just have one and then see how we feel, because I don't think you can possibly predict how you'll feel about it or what life will be like once your whole world is kind of flipped upside down. So we'll see. But in that kind of like, when you answer the question when you're a teenager and you're like, what age do you want to get married and how many children do you want to have? I'd love to have 3 kids. So we'll see how we go. Oh, another wedding question. How is your body image leading up to your wedding? Are you feeling any pressure? Honestly, no, I'm not. I'm really lucky / I worked very hard on throughout my 20s that I've never really struggled with body image too much. I haven't ever suffered with like disordered eating patterns or anything like that. I've always tried to just like really keep my like social media as cleansed as possible and really try to check myself whenever I feel some of those like negative thoughts creeping in. When it comes to wedding, I know it's like that typical thing where it's like, you've got to look the best you've ever looked on your wedding day. And I do want to look lovely on my wedding day. I really do want to look lovely on my wedding day. But I don't feel any necessarily like more pressure for my wedding than I do just for like my normal life. In a weird way, I kind of feel like I've spent so many years trying to avoid getting sucked into like negative body image stuff that I actually find it really hard to have periods of intensity. And I do think periods of intensity can be really, I don't know what the right word is, like maybe confidence boosting. I actually listened to an episode of Grace Beverley's podcast recently where she talked like a little bit about the difference between consistency and intensity and how she always struggles with being really intense but not very consistent. And I kind of feel like I have the opposite struggle. It's a really interesting podcast. I'll link the episode. But in a weird way, I struggle to like commit to something and then do it and give it my all and 100%. I think because I'm a bit nervous that if I was like, okay, I really want to strive for this like fitness goal or this aesthetic goal, like Grace Beverley had a vision of exactly what she wanted to kind of like look like for her wedding and she wanted to lose a certain amount of weight. She committed to it and she was like the satisfaction of being able to commit to a goal and achieve it through like going all in and locking all in. Like I can totally imagine that that's extremely satisfying. And I do feel like I miss out on that a little bit because I never want to become so intense about something that I risk it actually making me feel negatively about, you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not really articulating myself very clearly. It's the same reason why I've always stayed really clear of like any injectables or like Botox or fillers and stuff. It's not because I'm against them. And like maybe I will get Botox at some point in my life. But for me, it really feels like crossing that threshold of what if I get Botox and then I kind of see that actually I can alter myself and I can change myself and I like it more. And then you end up on this slippery slope of like finding all these other things that you then don't like about yourself, almost because you're like spending too much of your time thinking about it or you're studying it too hard. I never really want to get into a trap of honestly just like thinking too much about my appearance, because it's just always going to be the least interesting, or I hope that my appearance is always the least interesting thing about me. And I never want to give it more time than it kind of deserves. It doesn't, like, I want to look my best. I want to wake up in the morning. I want to shower and put on makeup and do my hair and I want to look nice. But I don't know. I worry that if I go down a train of changing myself too much, that I'll get hooked on it and then I'll identify things that need to be changed. Okay, that's like way so much of a ramble. I don't know if that resonates with like anybody at all, but no, I don't feel any pressure for the wedding other than like, I definitely want to look my best. I'm trying to go to the gym a little bit more. I want to start using my LED face mask again more. And I want to hydrate my skin more. I always notice like a massive difference with like wrinkles and stuff when I'm drinking more. Maybe I'll do, if anybody's interested, like I'll make a list of all the things that I am doing pre-wedding. But it's not like a super intense anything. It's just, these are like the small things that I really want to try and do for the next like 4 months or however long it is before the actual wedding day. I'll make if anybody's interested in like my beauty, wellness tips, hacks that I'm doing pre-wedding, I can document those out if anybody wants them. Okay, last one on like family, relationship, wedding stuff is so many questions about pets and dogs. We would love a dog. Guys, I'm stressed about the dog thing. I can't deny I'm stressed about the dog thing. I want a dog so much. I also really want a cat, but Cameron won't let me get a cat. And neither will any of my friends, because we always look after their dogs. So they don't want me to get a cat because then I wouldn't be able to look after their dogs. I really want a cat, like a lot. I really want a dog. And I don't know when we'll get either anytime soon. We're definitely not getting any pets pre-wedding because it's obviously an abroad wedding. Then we're going on an abroad honeymoon. I would never get a dog and then leave it for several weeks, having just brought it home, because they'll be trying to adjust, and that is definitely not fair, especially because I really want to get a rescue. I will be adopting a dog rather than buying a dog. Therefore, there probably even more needs some like safe adjustment period. So I do want to wait till after the wedding. I will be waiting till after the wedding before we get a dog. But then after the wedding, I don't know what Cameron and I's plans are. Like children, and we still need to like have those conversations together and see how we feel post-wedding and when do we want to start thinking about a family. There were questions like that in here, and I don't really have the specifics for you. Even if I had the specifics, I don't know if I'd share them until we were just like further down that road. Like I don't really have a specific answer. Thinking about children whilst also thinking about a pet, I take the responsibility of having a pet so seriously, and I'd want to make sure I could give a dog or a pet my full attention. And so if we're also having the conversation about children, I think we just need to decide, like, are we putting off having children for a little bit, or are we doing it straight away, or like what's our plan? And then we can make a decision about pets. But I want a pet so bad, guys. I want a pet so bad. Okay, moving on. Next biggest bucket of questions that I've got is probably around YouTube and influencer career stuff. Okay, so first question, so easy to answer. Are you enjoying being a YouTuber? Yes, it's literally my favorite thing ever. I love it so much. How's it going being a YouTuber full-time? Pros and cons. Pros, I feel creatively fulfilled every single day. I love my daily routine. Building this community and connecting with all of you across both channels is so fulfilling and so like life affirming, and like just all of the wonderful words. Building this community is so much fun. Being creative is so much fun. I have like so many positives to say about it. I never thought that I'd be lucky enough to be someone that say they loved their jobs. Cons, the main con for me is financial instability. A lot of the cons I thought that I was going to experience, like loneliness or like lack of, I grew up with a pretty academic background, and then my job like just used a lot of brain power, and so I was worried that being like an influencer or a YouTuber would just not use my brain enough. I was worried that it would be like a little bit vapid maybe, and it's not. Like I feel more mentally challenged than I ever did in my 9 to 5. It really does feel like trying to launch and run a business. So kind of those are the positives. The cons I would then say is financial instability is the main con. I'm used to having a very stable income that I could rely on. I knew when I was going to get bonuses. I knew when I was going to get like an increase in pay. When I became a freelancer, I was then setting a day rate, and I could increase my day rate by basically as much as I wanted, as long as the company were willing to pay it. And I could justify why my day rate deserved to be increased. And I had like really strong financial stability. I don't have that anymore. And brand deals is a big part of a YouTuber income, and I try not to do too many of them. Hopefully you guys can see that and notice that. I mean, I don't think I did a single brand deal the entire summer. I think I had something like 4 months where I didn't do one. Can't do that all the time. When it's brands and products that I really love and really believe in, then 100% I'm going to work with those brands and do those brand deals. But unless like I really love the brand, I just don't want to clog my channel with too much stuff. Anyway, so financial instability is one. At the beginning of this year, I'll be really honest, like hate is one, which I just like had to really wrap my head around. I'm really lucky that I don't get sent much like directly to me. YouTube is just the best platform in the world. The other platforms like Instagram and TikTok are like Google's filtering system is so good. All of the comments on YouTube are so lovely and everyone is so nice and so supportive here. Part of me thinks it can't be true that people on YouTube are just happen to be nicer than people that are on Instagram and TikTok, because it'll be similar groups of people. I just think Instagram and TikTok's filtering systems for like hate speech and those types of things are much worse, especially TikTok. TikTok is terrible, whereas Google seems to like really filter all that stuff out. But at the beginning of this year, to be honest, that's probably a topic for like a whole other day. But at the beginning of this year, I did discover one of those horrible forums, or that horrible forum, and all the things that people were saying about me on there. And it really threw me for like a good 6 months. And the terrible thing is that it threw me because you end up trying to please people that exist in those forums because you think they're representative of the whole when they're really not representative of the whole. And, you know, I like saw it was actually a TikTok once where this girl was talking about how to deal with like trolling and haters and all that kind of thing online. And, you know, the main message that she communicated was like, it's just none of your business what those people are saying about you. Like, you do your job and just like let them do theirs. And I really, as soon as I reframed it in my mind that it's like a hobby, it's like their hobby. Like they wake up in the morning, they make their cup of tea, and like their favorite thing to do is to log on to these forums and their platforms and like just like say terrible things about people and talk and try and tear down people's characters and like chat to their like friends in these group chats, because like bitching is like, it's like a hobby. And I'm like, you know what? You have your hobby. It's nothing to do with me. It's none of my business. But it did really throw me when I originally found it. And going from somebody who like, when I first started, I had like 300 followers on Instagram, which were like all people that I went to school with and my friends. And I had like no social following or platform of any capacity, like all throughout my 20s. I think it was just like a bit of a shock to the system to go from like one extreme to all of a sudden there being forums of strangers saying horrible things about you. That was hard, and it stuck with me for a while because you end up checking it. But I've like since that's long over. I just don't look there anymore and don't go looking for anything negative, because it's like one of those, that saying like, go looking for trouble, like you're going to find it. So none of my business. But those are the cons I'd say. But I just love this job so much. I get that also then answers like, are you enjoying it as much as you hoped? Yes, I really am. Latest challenge with being a YouTuber, how do you prevent burnout? Burnout is a weird one because it is like getting on an escalator, like that you can never get off. Don't know if an escalator is the right like imagery for it, but the name of the game is that I produce a video every single week, or I produce 2 videos every single week, and I can never stop. So if I want a break, that's not the rules of the road. And the only times I've ever taken a break is when I've like really, it's been urgent that I need it. Burnout's a tricky one. I feel like the solution to it is the same as anybody in any job. And it's just a case of looking after ourselves, noticing when we're going to need breaks, scheduling breaks into the future before you get to a point where you actually really need it. How did your career with YouTube start? I posted my first video, I think on something like the 2nd of January. It was like the first Sunday of January 2022. And honestly, I started posting on YouTube because I was really lonely in my life in general. At that time, I was in a relationship that I felt really lonely in. I felt really far away from my friends during COVID, like some of them all lived close together and I didn't live anywhere near them, and other ones were scattered all over the country. I just felt really lonely, and I felt like my creative side needed some nourishing. And I just picked up the camera one day, and I think I literally turned that video around in like 24 hours, because I was like, if I don't just do it really quickly and just post it, I'll chicken out, I'll never do it. And I just made it really fast, posted the video. I think I actually did pretty well for like a first video. I think I got like 300 views, which like blew my mind that I got 300 views on my first video. And then just never looked back. I was like, right, I'm just going to post every Sunday. Like, this is a really fun project for me to do. And that was it. I just decided one day, will you do more 9 to 5 type videos? I can definitely do more 9 to 5 videos, but I obviously don't do a 9 to 5 job anymore. So if it's something you guys would be interested in, just to see like behind the scenes of what my job is like now, then I can definitely do more of those if you're interested. But I don't know if it's got the same appeal if I'm not like commuting into an office in the same way that I was before. How do you know that you're in the right job? Honestly, the main reason that I know I'm in the right job is because just when people have said like, oh, would you be interested in like doing this type of job and then like doing YouTube on the side, or would you ever like go back to your 9 to 5? The thought is like, no, I really don't want to. I really, really, really want to do exactly what I'm doing. And maybe one day that will change, but I like can't foresee it. I just love it. And then final one on all the YouTuber stuff is favorite YouTubers that I watch, both across like booktube and YouTube. I would love to find some more YouTubers, to be honest, that are my favorites, but my absolute favorite YouTubers that I watch that come to mind right now, I feel like I consume so much Aussie content. I don't know what it is about Aussie influencers. For some reason, I just can't get enough. I also think, if you're looking, this is like a bit of a rogue one, not related to a question. If you find winter motivation hard, just like switch up your whole algorithm. Just find all your Southern Hemisphere besties on the internet. They're all entering spring, summer, or they're in spring, they're entering summer. And it's so motivating to watch people enter summer, because like that's the time when you like feel so pumped for everything. So the Aussie ones really quickly, Rachel Catherine, the queen of hobbies, whether that's like crocheting, scrapbooking, any cozy homebody hobby, she does. And she doesn't just do it the way I like have a crack at it. She's really good at all of it. Love her videos. Sophie Miller, also love her videos. And Georgia Richards, like they're like 3 best buds, and all of their videos just feel like a hug, and like hanging out with besties, they're so good. From a bookish perspective, more bookish girlies like Sarah Crowley's videos I love, but I think you probably do have to be quite bookish to enjoy Sarah's videos. Steph Bower used to be a bookish girly, is no longer really. She's more lifestyle. Love her videos. Steph's videos are supreme. Like, I absolutely love her content. Like English influencers, Megan Grubb, I love her, like family style, homey videos. Oh, sorry, battery died. I'm just having a look at my subscriptions list. I mean, honestly, I need more YouTubers to watch. Josie's always been a bit of a comfort person, just because I've always watched her videos like long before I started YouTube or anything. And I also think she talks really candidly like about the industry as a whole. And I think the way her and Charlie have built a full business out of it is really admirable. I think it's really difficult because I think almost like my taste in YouTubers is not necessarily the same as my niche necessarily. Maybe there's like some components of each of the people's videos that I've mentioned, but they're not quite the same style. I don't know. I want like high vibes, but comforting. If you've got any YouTubers that you'd recommend, like please let me know. Okay, I'm going to speed up. This section is kind of like lifestyle, self-care, homey stuff. What do you do to look after your skin and hair need an autumn refresh? I'd recommend watching, I'll link the vlog where I talk a lot about my skin and hair at the beginning. I think it was literally like last week's vlog or the week before's vlog, where I talk all about like my autumn skin and hair care favorites. So I'll link that for you. Your favorite season? It's spring. Spring is my favorite season. It used to kind of be autumn. I think the reason why autumn is a favorite for so many, maybe I'm being biased by saying like, especially in the UK, but England, I'm obviously biased. England does autumn so well. In fact, I was going as far as to say England does autumn flawlessly. It just does the most. I think there is something so special. Like when I'm out on my walks at this time of year, the leaves, the pubs, it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. I love it. I love the baking this time of year. I love everything about this time of year I love, but spring is just, it hits different. Like spring hits different. The hope and the optimism and the excitement of spring is an unmatched feeling. And I love that feeling more than I love like the calmness of autumn, which I love, like just like the sinking into something comfy. I really do love every season. Like I can romanticize the hell out of pretty much anything. I can love every season, including the depths and darkness of winter. I can romanticize that too. But yeah, the vibes for spring, I love it. I'm already excited about it. We've got ages to go till spring, but I love it. One essential thing in the day that makes you feel like you're prioritizing yourself. I would say my mint tea before bed, honestly. It's just something that I've always religiously done. I'd probably argue it's my favorite time of day, maybe for that exact reason. It really feels like a self-care moment every single day when I make my mint tea, I go up to bed, I sit in bed, and I've got basically however long it takes for my mint tea to cool down and for me to drink it. It's like guaranteed wind down. How do you manage stress? Well, I don't know if I manage it amazingly well. My biggest is really sappy, but like the best way that I manage stress is talking to Cameron. Whenever either of us like really starts to feel stress build, we just say to the other one, like, can we go on a walk? And we'll just go on a walk together and just like talk the whole thing out, front to back to front, like over and over again. We'll just hash and rehash whatever it is that's stressing us, and we'll just word vomit on the other. Like yesterday we went for a walk, Cameron needed to talk, and I just basically was silent. And he monologued for like an hour and just like got everything out. And I just listened and gave him some of my advice. He didn't really need my advice. He just wanted to talk it out. And so many times it's the exact opposite. So having someone to talk to, whether it's like a partner or a friend or a parent or whoever, like just get it out. I find when I bottle stress, then I start to get like a really sore jaw. Like my stress always manifests really badly in like me clenching my teeth in my jaw. Talk it out is the best way. And act through it. Like action is almost always the answer. I've always believed that, well, more anxiety than stress, but action through anxiety is always the best solution. Like if you're feeling really anxious, my first piece of advice would not be like, go take a bath. It would be go tackle the thing that you're anxious about head on. If you're anxious about having a conversation with somebody, just go do it. If you're anxious about the fact that the house is a mess, like just go do, like if there's anything within your power that you can do to influence, like if you're really anxious about a job interview, like go prep for it, go do some extra preparation. Anything that you can do that's action oriented around anxiety, I think always helps so much more than like trying to ignore the problem. If there's literally nothing you can do, like fate, it's completely out of your hands and there's nothing you can do, I would always say there's more that you can do about your situation than you think. If there's nothing you can do, then go take a walk, take a bath, dive into a good book, like get your mind off it. But first, really assess, is there anything I can do to alleviate this anxiety by just taking action? Because more often than not, you'll feel so good after you do something towards that problem. 3 things you love about your house, 3 things that you'd change or include in your next home. Ooh, fun. Okay. Love the kitchen. Love being by the river. Love the fireplace. 3 things I'd change or include in our next house. We're going to be here for a few more years, so I haven't really thought too much about what our next home will be like. We're just kind of loving so much being here. The one thing though is a utility room. I knew I wanted a utility room when we found this house and it didn't have one, and there was nowhere for like utility stuff to really go. But to be honest, this house was too amazing, and the fact that like we could afford it and it was just this wonderful, I just was like, well, it doesn't matter about the utility room, like let's just get the house and we'll have the laundry in the kitchen forever, which is what we do now. But a utility room, to not have all the laundry everywhere in the kitchen would be amazing. I think I've been talking for like a full hour. I'm really going to try and edit this down as much as I can because I want to answer a few more. Let me speed through some. Sourdough starter recipe, I'll pop a link in the description box. Cookie recipe, I'll pop a link in the description box. Who taught me how to bake and cook so well? Nobody taught me, if I'm honest. I'm very self-taught. My grandma always used to bring a cake every time she used to come and visit us, so I was always inspired by her baking, but I never really baked with her much. I did bake with her, but she would more like bake the cakes and we would enjoy the cakes. And then cooking, probably my dad. I basically was the cook in the house. I probably took over being the cook in the house when I was like an early teenager, maybe like 14, 15. And like, I would cook most of the weekday meals and then my dad cook on the weekends. And I just love it. I mean, I think I've grown up really lucky going to lots of different restaurants. My dad's taste in food is super experimental and varied. And he loves a lot of Asian cuisine and he lived all over the world growing up. My dad was born in Russia and then lived in Cape Town for a while, lived in the States for a bit, because my granddad was a journalist. So he really lived all over. And I think his like food palette kind of therefore traveled with him. So we've always experimented a lot with food growing up. And I don't know, it's one of those things that I just love cooking. I do need to share more cooking recipes. And thank you for the compliments on my chopping skills. I think it was during COVID that I learned to chop properly. I just Googled it and I was like, this is taking me way too long. I was making bolognese and I literally was like, no, I can't chop any more onions without knowing how to do this properly. And I looked it up and the tip of your knife should never leave the board. So that should be like your anchor. It just helps you fly through chopping stuff much faster. What are you going to try that's new next year? I mean, being married, does that count? I don't know if I'm going to start any new hobbies next year. In fact, I know I'm not going to start any new hobbies this next year, at least not until the wedding's over. Until that's finished, I'm just sticking with what I'm doing now. I also just started learning to crochet. And so that's kind of taking up all of my mind. And then my book journal, which is kind of also a bit of a priority for me. And at the moment, I'm trying to scrapbook all of Cameron and I's like engagement year, because that's the year that like we both turned 30 and we got engaged. So I'm trying to scrapbook that entire like 2024. So I feel like in terms of new stuff, I'm doing a lot of it at the moment. I'd love to at some point take like a videography, like film photography course or something and like learn how to do this properly. Every job I've ever had, I've always had qualifications, and every job I've ever had, I've always had proper training and education. And this one, I'm winging it, and I'd love to learn something properly for this job. So maybe I'll do some of that next year, post-wedding. You seem to do a really good job of romanticising your life and staying positive. Any tips? Thank you. Oh, honestly, I feel like I get this question quite a lot. And firstly, I really appreciate it because it makes me feel good about myself, because it makes me recognize that I have changed. I used to be a pessimist. I used to be somebody that was more negative than positive, I would say. And some of that will be circumstance. Like I'm in a very like loved up, happy stage of life right now. I'm engaged and we're in our first home, and like all of those things are great. But largely I would say it has been a choice. Like I really did go through a period, I'd say when I was like 26, 27, when I just really actively decided I want to be a really happy person. It sounds super trivial, but I remember thinking to myself, I want to be a really happy person that like anytime anyone hangs out with me, I want to be the friend that people leave having spent time with me, like feeling really good and like feeling really positive. And more than that, I want to be around that energy myself all the time. And I just honestly started to like, at the beginning, it kind of feels like faking it, because a situation will present itself, or you kind of like go through life not really thinking about things. And I'd like force myself to be like, oh, well, actually, the fact that I like can't order this coffee that I really wanted because they don't have it today means that I'm trying something new. And oh, this new flavor is like really fun. And sometimes it can feel, I guess, a little bit like toxic positivity at the start, but it's not, or it wasn't for me. When you go from being really pessimistic to all of a sudden deciding that you want to be a more optimistic, positive person, it feels a bit fake. But over time, now genuinely spot things that are wonderful that I wouldn't have spotted before. But it's not easy, especially when you are faced with like difficult life setups. Like there was a period of time where I was just going through so much grief, and there was no being perky when you're grieving. So I'm not saying you can just be happy and force yourself through it, but I do think noticing the little things and just practicing it like a skill, I guess. That's how I did it anyway, because I genuinely haven't always been this way. I do believe I've changed in a good way. Anywhere in the States you want to travel to? I really want to take Cameron to Yosemite. I've been, and I just think he would love it so much. And I really want to take him there. I would love to visit South Carolina. I'd love to spend some time in New England. I'd love to do some cowboy ranchy stuff. Maybe go to Montana and just ride horses for a couple of weeks would be amazing. I honestly really want to visit. I know this wasn't the question, but I really, really, really want to visit Canada. Favorite places to staycation in the UK? The Pig Hotels. The New Forest is a fave. The Cotswolds is also just like a lovely place to visit. And then Suffolk. Like Suffolk is wonderful. And you've got the seaside, and it's just like a lovely part of the UK. We had quite a few The Life of a Showgirl questions. So very quickly, where does it rank out of all the Taylor Swift albums? Probably quite low, but some of the other questions were like, what are my opinions of it and everything else? And I would say the hate that it was getting online kind of spoiled my vibe for a while there, I have to be honest. I just really feel like I have no business hating or like I think I'm just not a critic. Like I just don't feel the need to be critical. I am more of a sad girl Taylor. Like Tortured Poets is probably one of my favorite albums that she's ever done. After Tortured Poets, it's probably like Tortured Poets, Evermore, and Rep, although Rep is obviously happy, like are probably my top three. Any Swiftie knows that it changes all the time, but like those are probably my top three. This album is obviously very different to that. But in my head, I'm like, she doesn't need to give us lyrical poetic prose every single time because she's given it to us before. Like we can just go listen to Tortured Poets or listen to Evermore if that's what you want. And if you want a bop, then you can listen to 1989, you can listen to Life of a Showgirl. So I think people should probably just chill with like dissecting the album too much. I think it's fun. Really love Ruin the Friendship. Like that was like an immediate yes from me, and that remains true now. I've seen so many book edits with Father Figure, so now like I'm biased towards Father Figure. I like The Fate of Ophelia. I like The Life of a Showgirl. Honestly, I'm not listening to it. Like when I go to listen to Taylor, I'm still putting on my Taylor playlist, which doesn't have those songs in it yet. I'm still prioritizing listening to... I'm still stuck on Evermore. I've been stuck on Evermore for about 6 months and I like can't break away from it. It's like really stuck. Gold Rush, Cowboy Like Me, Nobody No Crime, Ivy, Long Story Short. I mean, I'm stuck. I can't break away from Evermore right now. Paint color for the guest room, for the pink room. It's called Ballet Slipper or Ballet Shoes. I can't remember. I'll write the exact name, by Crown Paints. And it's either called Ballet Slipper or Ballet Shoes by Crown. And love the color, actually. Final section is books. There's actually so many book questions. I'm not going to answer that many of them on here because I know not everybody here is bookish. But favorite booktubers, I feel like I've answered those. The other booktuber / YouTuber, to be honest, a lot of the YouTube that I watch is book stuff. But the other YouTuber that I watch so much is Heather McClary. I love Heather McClary. I feel like she's such a vibe. Like I would love to be her friend. So she's another booktuber. Favorite book I've read this year. Yeah, it's probably too long for me to think back across the whole year. Rose in Chains like really had a bit of a death grip on me for a while. I really loved that. And Six of Crows I read this year. I mean, that is just fantastic. And then the whole of the Natural series I read this year. Also fantastic for like YA crime thriller. If you don't like anything that's too spooky, it's technically YA. And it is about like children, teenagers, but it's just brilliant. And I loved it. Have I read Alchemized yet? No, I haven't, but yes, I plan to. Okay, officially the final question. Let's finish on a fun one. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Honestly, it's very simple. In 5 years, I would love to be creatively fulfilled in a career that I love. Ideally this one. Super in love and obsessed with Cameron as my new husband. Ideally with a baby. And that's where I'd love to be in 5 years. What a long time we've talked for. I feel like the sun has basically traveled across the entire sky during our conversation. So I'll do my best to slim this down so you're not sat here for over an hour. If there's any questions that I didn't get to, but you really want me to answer, then let me know and I can like sprinkle a couple into future vlogs. And then maybe we'll do another like proper sit down towards the end of the year, just do a big recap on the entire year in general. As always though, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being interested. Thank you for asking all the questions and just for being so lovely in general. I know social media gets a lot of hate, but this is when it's great. It helps build actual friendships through the internet and I love it for that. So thank you so much. I love ya. I hope you have such a lovely week and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye guys.